Hey, hello, and welcome to the show. It's me, John Park, and it is this, John Park's Workshop. You've joined me here in the workshop today. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thanks for hopping in. I'm just laughing because the chat is making me crack up over in the Discord. Apparently, the whole Jimothy has been unmasked. It's just actually Lars in a odd raccoon suit. Who knew? Thanks, Andy. If you're looking for the chat, that's one of the chats right there. That's over on our Discord. You can go to adafruit.it/Discord. Look for the live broadcast chat channel. That one right there. We have a whole bunch of different channels with stuff going on, but that's the place to be during a live stream. You can also check out things like general or help with, if you want help with different kinds of projects. There's show and tell on here. A lot of really neat places to check out in our Discord. The other chat to check out is this one right here. This is our YouTube, which was going up and down and all around there. So I don't know if people are able to connect to it right now or if I need to refresh that. But hop on over into the YouTube if that's your preference. I'll try to keep an eye on both of them. And let's see what's going on today. I've got a coupon code for you to save some money in the shop. I've got a product pick of the week recap. Excuse me. I have a CircuitPython Parsec, a couple of project things going on, the continuing exploration of the Pepper's Ghost effect for Space Invaders purposes. I built a bigger, better demo, I think. And also the Learn Guide recap I've got from the Demofruit project. As well as I want to do a little demo of the next one that I'm going to write up, actually, which is going to be the picoBootloader / picoSNES / Pico TurboGrafx and PC Engine. And I printed off the beginnings of a modified Raspberry Pi case that someone made that looks like a TurboGrafx. That actually fits that should fit a fruit jam pretty well in it. So we'll take a look at that. And I'll do a little demo of the new picoBootloader, which is the most exciting thing, I think, to happen in the whole Pico emulator running on RP2040, RP2350 thing from Frank Hodemakers that I've seen so far. It's very cool. There's probably other things, I don't know. But why don't we get started with you saving some money. If you want to do that, then go and shop in the store and use that coupon code right there on your way out. There's a coupon code slot. Just type it in there. It's what's up or what's up. What's up? WATTS UP. I got confused by my own joke. What's up? That's too silly to say. That'll save you money over in the Adafruit shop, which is this place right here. If you just go to Adafruit, you are in the store. It's that simple. You don't have to leave your house. You can't, in fact, because we don't have a physical storefront. But if you go to adafruit.com, you'll see we've got a couple of new products to check out, and we've got all of our different categories up here at the top. Go find some things, throw them in your cart if they are physical goods that we can ship to you, because this won't work on gift certificates or subscriptions or software. But if you buy a physical thing that we can ship to you, you can save 10% until midnight tonight East Coast time using Watts Up, Watts-Up. For example, one of the new products that just came out, I think, let's see if we have them in stock, it's this NeoPixel stick. Yeah, it's in stock. It's your usual NeoPixel stick that you may know. However, this one, instead of being RGB pixels, instead of being RGBW pixels, this is white, amber, WWA. It's three color temperatures of white diodes per, so you can set the whole thing to mix between this enormous spectrum of color temperature going from a pretty cool white to a neutral, or I should say it starts with a, cool white to a neutral to an amber. So you can pick those up, check them out. They are, if you're not familiar with these, they do require a little bit of soldering. We have connectors on the ends there that you can just tin with some solder and then connect 3 leads if you just want to do ground, power, and data in. If you want to connect these together, you can connect on the opposite side where that D out, digital out, or data out is. And you can also bridge these if you want to make a longer physical strip. It's probably worth waiting to see if we come out with a flexible strip for this. I don't know if we are or not, but you can bridge these with some header pins or short pieces of wire if you want to abut them. Just hold them down in a little jig and connect them. But those are just one of the many things that are in the store that you might be interested in. And like I said, if you want to save money, then use that coupon code. That's going to be good until midnight tonight for 10% off. I just picked up some of those NeoPixel strips, so I'm going to try those out and let you know what I think. All right, what else do we have going on? Over in YouTube, NetVentive, hello, thanks for stopping in. For some reason, the type is entirely too small in that window for me today. There we go, I've bigged it up. So, on Tuesday, I've got the Product Pick of the Week show. Get that out of there. It looks like this, good grief. And during the Product Pick show, I show you some product, a little demo, some specs, some stats, some photos, give you a big discount. This week it was 50% off on this lovely Matrix switch. Here's a 1-minute recap from the show. That right there is my product pick of the week this week. It is the ADG 728 I2C 1-8 Matrix switch. There's the ADG 728 there and a cutie pie. And then I'm running the S1, S2, S3 to some RCA jacks that I'm using for composite video. One output going to the TV set here. There's a VCR, there is a Sony PlayStation 1, and then I also have my little ESP32 clock. We can automatically switch between the PlayStation, my ESP32 clock, and the VCR channels 0, 1, and 2. If I go back to this demo, you can see. So that's my third input, my first input, my second input, cycling. We'll leave it on there. It is the ADG 728 I2C 1-8 analog matrix switch. That was that. Pretty cool. I was amazed at the quality of the video. I figured we'd be able to switch video with that, but I didn't know if we needed more supporting circuitry to get a nice signal. Boneheaded move, actually, of my setup was, let me show you this, this is fun. I had, so you can see here, I've got these various dongles to connect up to the VCR and the PlayStation and ESP32 and then my TV set. It was really noisy. I had seen it real clear earlier, and then it got super noisy on me, and that's because I had forgotten to ground any of them. So, or rather, I should say, they're all grounded to each other, and none of them were grounded to the microcontroller. I forgot that wire right there. So, without them grounded to the microcontroller, they were struggling and showing me a perceivable but terrible video signal. And then finally, I was staring at the thing, and I said, "Oh wait. Nothing is actually going to a proper ground." So once I fix that, very clear picture. Okay, next up, let's dive into a CircuitPython Parsec. CircuitPython Parsec. Okay, let's get this set up. Yeah, I think you can see that pretty well. Get my code window here. On the CircuitPython Parsec today, I want to continue with the RotoZoom library, and this time, last week we looked at rotation, this time we're going to look at, you guessed it, zoom. So in the bitmap tools, we can grab this, you can see right here, import bitmap tools. We can grab this RotoZoom library or set of commands that make it easy to manipulate a bitmap that is part of display I/O. So you can see here in the code, the main things that are important here is grabbing display I/O, grabbing bitmap tools. Also using image load to throw this Lars BMP up on my Featherwing. Yeah, it's a touchscreen Featherwing here, TFT, connected to a RP2350, I believe. In the main body of the code here, we're going to do setup of the display, setup of the touch screen, set the parameters for the display width and height. I'm setting the palette to be based on the bitmap that we're importing. And I'm also searching for pure magenta, which is what I use to knock out transparency. So this is, if we put a different color background on here, you're not going to see black square behind Lars. It's got a properly knocked out background color. In the functions that I've set up here, right towards the main loop, you can see this one here called draw scaled. So what happens is we create essentially two canvases. We import the bitmap, and that's the source, and then we have a destination that we're casting it onto. You can think of it as like a little screen that we can move around, a little canvas that we can move around. So last week that's what I rotated. This week that's what I'm going to scale. So I first clear the canvas there, and then I use this command, bitmaptools.rotozoom. I have the destination and the source palette and bitmaps that I've set up. And then I have the origin, where we're going to scale from, the center of it. And then the source width and height that's being cast on the destination. Right now I'm setting the angle to 0. And then I'm using this right here, scale, to change the scale of the bitmap. Initially this is set to 1. But you can see here in the main loop of the program, I'm checking for touches of the screen. And then I'm looking to see if that touch value is increasing or decreasing, and casting that to a scale value down to, I think I have a 0.25 minimum, so a quarter of the scale. You can see it get real small there, or 2x. So if I drag this all the way up, this will go 2x. And you could arbitrarily adjust those. I'm using a nearest neighbor for scaling, so we're not trying to interpolate anything. We're just going to see big pixels as we get closer and closer. But it's pretty performant. You can see here, there's a little bit of skipping. The frame rate isn't super fast, but still, this is right here in CircuitPython using a pretty simple set of tools with this bitmap tools libraries RotoZoom. And so that is how you can adjust the scale of a bitmap object inside of CircuitPython using RotoZoom. And that is your CircuitPython Parsec. All right. So I actually don't think there'll be much more to do with RotoZoom. I guess I could combine those. Maybe we'll do a little combine of those, do something a little more interesting with it. But you probably noticed last week I was using some vector I/O objects, which are for the touch demo, which are faster than these bitmaps. So maybe I'll try to optimize that a little bit. And let me know if you have any suggestions with that or experience with that. I haven't used those tools very much, but they're pretty easy to work with, which is nice. Okay, let's now do I'm going to grab this browser here, and I'm going to open up Learn in a new tab here. And if you take a look on the main Learn site, we have this new guides section here. This one right here, this glowy one, this is the Demofruit project. So do I even have it in here? I don't think I do. But it's running on a fruit jam. And it is a series of demo scene, 1990s, early 90s, late 80s, Amiga, Commodore, DOS style demo scene graphics demos, along with some tracker-based mod music playing back in real time that was made by KQVC, Dan Q from Adafruit. And so for the guide here, something I did was I ran the Fruit Jam through a fairly inexpensive and simple HDMI to composite video adapter, and then ran that into a little 8-inch, this cute little Sony 8-inch TV. You can't see it, it's right there behind me. Cute little TV set, and it looks great. Sometimes it's a gamble whether an HDMI to composite on a CRT is going to sync nicely, have a decent resolution, have a match to the expected output to what you actually see. This one worked great, which I'm very happy with. So, in fact, I'll show you. Turn off the sound on that. Turn that down. There we go. Here you can see this is a demo video. Is that going to show full screen? No, it's not. Okay, I'll leave it right there. This is a little demo video of that in action. And those are all running on this little CRT here as I skip through and adjust things. Let me turn that off. I'll show you one where you can see a little brighter. In these plasma demos, it looks really nice. So, of course, you can run it on HDMI. As you've seen, I also have some videos that are direct capture. I ran the Fruit Jam into an HDMI capture on my computer, and so I have some direct screen capture, but those don't really evoke the same feeling, to me at least, of seeing these types of graphics demos running on a nice glowy CRT. There's a lot you gain from that. So go check your local yard sales, thrift stores, basements, closets, attics, curbs. Pick up some CRTs, especially small ones. You can do some cool stuff with the Fruit Jam on them. So there's a little demo. This is a set of the different effects that we have. This is what you can pick up if you don't have some of these things. If you want a little monitor to play on, some little powered speakers, cables you'll need, power supply, Fruit Jam itself. I have a little intro to demo scene here, as well as a nice example of some authentic demo scene graphics demos to check out. And then a little reiteration of these that we're using. I have this all was written in Arduino, porting the original code into Arduino, but I was able to export this as a UF2 file. So one of the nice things you can do with a project like this right inside of Arduino is, once you've compiled it and tested it on your real hardware, you can do a export binary, and it'll create a little folder with the UF2 and some other files in it. So I've shared that. There's a link in here to just download that UF2 file. You can put your Fruit Jam into bootloader mode, drag this on, and off you go. If, however, you want to customize it, I've got some info about customizations here on this page. So this would involve having your Arduino IDE set up and able to upload to the board, which this little Arduino setup page will take you through. But going back a page here to customization, a couple of things. If you download the bundle, the project bundle, you'll get all of the Arduino stuff you need. You'll also get 2 Python scripts. One is for converting a BMP to a texture header. So in my example here, I have this Lars BMP, and I tell you how to what command you'll run using Python, and this BMP to texture.py Python that'll convert it into the type of header file that the Arduino program will run. And pretty much the same thing with music. So I have some links to the mod archive, and you can also search for other mods. If you get a mod file, I think we're capable of doing 10 channel at least, and maybe more stereo. Size becomes the issue with samples, so you can run out of room. I think I kept mine to 2 megabytes per, since I had multiples in there. But you can go grab mod files, or you can make mod files in a tracker, and that's the file format we're using. And then Pocket Mod inside of this running on the Fruit Jam plays it back in real time. So there is a little Python script here called mod to header.py. You give it your mod file, and then the output name for, again, a header file that it'll create, and then you can then you'll be able to put your own songs into this. You can also go and take a look at the Arduino code. I have this code, the Fruit Jam section here, and this takes you, this is what the main Arduino file looks like, but there's a whole bunch more that come with it for each of the sub demos, as well as the overall menu and the music player. This tells you how the menu navigation works, and then in a general overview of each of these effects, what they're doing, how the graphics actually work there. So that is a wrap on the Demofruit project. So I hope you enjoy that and check it out. It's kind of nice. I've projected it. If you take it can be an inexpensive projector, but it's kind of nice, especially with some of these like the Starfield demo and the Plasma, to just project them up onto a wall or a side of the building. You can get some pretty cool concert graphics kind of stuff. All right, checking in over on the Discord. There was a post by SomeNice about this super realistic CRT monitor emulator. Yeah, this is pretty cool. This is a piece of software that gives you a kind of like a terminal emulator, but I've seen people do these before with terminal emulator, but this is a full screen emulator, full computer emulator, so you can run your games through it or anything you want through it, and do some super realistic effects for getting different types of aperture grills and scan lines and sizes and TV line resolutions on CRTs, different chromatic aberrations and warps and things like that. It's really cool. So go check this out. It's over in the Discord chat. Thank you to SomeNice for posting that. I haven't tried it yet. SomeNice posted it, but also says seems gimmicky. Yeah. It's a vibe, right? And I'm to be honest, as much as I love CRTs, I'm not running any of my real computers through them. So maybe this will give me my fix if I want to run a piece of what I'm doing through a CRT without really doing it. All right, so one moment here to move some windows around, and we'll get on to the next thing. What have I got? So let's talk about this really cool addition to Frank Hodemacher's world of Pico emulators. So these are running on RP2350 and RP2040. I'm gonna bring back my browser for a second here, and let me open picoSNES. Frank. Oh, that gives me someone named Frank Picones. Pico Info NES. That'll get there. There we go. So Pico Info NES Plus was the first one that Frank worked on that I built the little PCB for. But if you go back to Frank's GitHub here and head over to repositories, this one right here, okay, there's a few things going on. So there is the Pico PCE Plus. I'm going to write a guide that combines these three things. So that's the TurboGrafx and PC Engine emulator, including PC Engine CD and SuperGrafx. There is this new one, picoSNES Plus. So this is a Super Nintendo emulator running on RP2350, particularly great on Fruit Jam because it has all you need for connectivity. You got your HDMI out, you've got your USB and I2C in for the classic controllers, and Frank has figured out how to get audio over the HDMI cable, which is maybe the only case of this I've seen. It's pretty awesome. You do also have the DAC if you want to go out to headphones or to powered speakers, and the onboard speaker. All those things work. The thing that's wrapping all of this together so nicely is this one right here called picoBootloader. If you're familiar with other emulator ecosystems like Emulation Station, which is what the Raspberry Pi, a lot of the Raspberry Pi retro gaming emulator builds use. Emulation Station is nice because it gives you a selector for different emulators. So you can say, okay, this until now, if I had a NES running on on this Fruit Jam here, the Pico InfoNES or picoSNES, that was it. It would launch. I could pick different ROMs to play off of CD or off of the SD card, and it has the metadata, so you can take a look at the game art and a little paragraph about it. Also has a really nice screensaver built in, so you could have a Fruit Jam and decide this is what it's going to emulate and pick one console. The bootloader lets you pick your emulator, so you can say, okay, I want to just be a Genesis. It reflashes the system as a Genesis, lets you pick from your SD card, play Genesis stuff. Then you can pop back out to the emulator picker and say, okay, now let's be a Super Nintendo. Now let's be a PC Engine. So I've got that running right here. I'm going to plug this in, and I'm going to plug it into a capture card so that you can see it on screen. Give me 1 second to find the proper cables. So let's first of all, I'll just show you this view right here. So this is the Fruit Jam that I'm using for this. You can see instead of an HDMI, just because this was convenient and I really like this controller, I have one of these Nintendo classic controllers that uses the Wii add-on connector, and that goes into our little nunchuck adapter, Wii-chuck adapter board over I2C and into the Fruit Jam's I2C. But you can just as easily plug in a USB gamepad. Let's give it some power, and I will plug this HDMI cable in. This is a very stiff HDMI cable, so it's going to move everything around on me. I'll plug that into a little capture box. And power this on. I'll now add a, bear with me 1 second, I'm going to add a new video capture. Oh no, you know what? That'll work from this camera right here. Yeah. Okay, so let's do it. Sure, that should get the point across. Okay, so that is direct capture off of the Fruit Jam. And what I'm going to do is press select to go to the graphical. So this is running on the Fruit Jam. This is the graphical picker's screensaver. And now I'm just going to touch a button here to pick between the different emulators. So here's the PC Engine one that also covers SuperGrafx and PC Engine CD. Here's a Game Boy and Game Boy Color emulator, Sega Master System and Game Gear, Super Nintendo, Doom full version, Genesis, and the NES, and this Philips VideoPack G7000, which I think is also a Magnavox Odyssey. I haven't run anything on that. So I'll use this to go over Super Nintendo, since that's the sort of newest one to me. Press A to select, and now you can see it's reflashing the Fruit Jam just to run this Super Nintendo Super Famicom emulator. And now we're at our, let me move my face out of the way there a little bit, sorry. Whoops. Yeah, I can move this to the side, that'll work. So now I can pick, oh, there's a little screensaver kicked in because I was slow. If I go B, we can back up. Okay, so this is my SD card here. Since I'm running the Super Nintendo emulator, which it says up at the top there, picoSNES 9X, which is SNES 9X is a pretty popular emulator for SNES. And now if I go into this folder here, I can go and pick, let's say, Super Mario World. And here we are. I don't have any sound output right now, so you won't hear anything. But it's not only can you play it, you can hit Start Select and go into some game options here. You can do, let's say, turn on some scan lines and How about a frame rate overlay? Anything else I want? So let's do save. Can do some rapid fire stuff, a little controller tester. So I'll hit save. And there you go. You can see I've got 60 frames a second, and now we have these sort of simulated scan lines running here on Super Mario, which is pretty great. Go back out with select and start. I can do a quick game, and I can go back out to the emulator selection there. So pops back out, and we're now back in this, which, wow, that's all running on an RP2350. Incredible. So I'm going to write up a guide that covers all of that. Since we've got, let's go back to this view. Since we've got these kind of 3 new editions, I'm going to put these together as a guide, and maybe I'll mirror into that one guide all of the other picoSNES stuff that's running, that we've got running on Fruit Jam in particular. So thank you to Frank for sharing that. Amazing work, really cool stuff. So if you want to check this out, I'll put a link over in the chats. Particularly cool because, you know, I used to like the fact that you could build a little Raspberry Pi based retro station for a friend or a family member as a gift pretty cheaply back when a Raspberry Pi was like 35 bucks. Since Raspberry Pi prices are so high, the fact that an RP2350 can do this now, and you can do it in a bunch of different formats. It doesn't have to be the Fruit Jam. You can do it on a Pico 2 with a DVI sock. There's a few different variations on, you'll see them on the GitHub there for being able to build these. But these are actually expensive, actually inexpensive, unlike some of the full-blown Raspberry Pi stuff. So really cool. The other thing I showed here is this, let me go to my down cam. This was a vaguely TurboGrafx shaped. I found this, I think, on Thingiverse, and I'm just adjusting its scale and the model a bit, moving some stuff around so that I can fit a Fruit Jam inside of there. This was designed as a Raspberry Pi case, so it has some cutouts on the side and back there. So I may be modifying that stuff to just work with a Fruit Jam better. Just to have a nice, fun alternate case that even though you might be running different emulators on it, you can at least have something that says, hey, I'm playing retro games. All right. So let's go now to also in-game stuff that I'm working on. The Space Invaders. So I picked up one of these things, which is, get it to, this is one of these little, you can find them at the Target and other stores, get them online. And these are these little sort of custom, or not custom, what's the word I'm looking for? Single game cabinets, little mini cabinets. There's a bunch of different ones out there. I usually don't like them because I usually don't like the look of the little flat panel TFT that's on them. But this one is special because they actually did the Pepper's Ghost trick of the TFT is essentially here, this 45-degree Pepper's Ghost silvered mirror piece of acrylic, and then there's the backdrop that's backlit of the moonscape. So I'm going to see if I can show you this in my down shooter. And the reason I like it is that it looks really good. The projection looks really good compared to looking right at a screen for this game in specific. So I'm going to go back to my down cam here. And let's see if I can, I might kill this. Will I need that? No, I don't even think I'll need to kill that light. Okay, so let me turn it on. So you can see there's 6 little LEDs that are trying to backlight the background there. And let's see, I think it'll be worth me doing a little more camera shenanigans so you can see a little better what the game looks like. Okay, I'll turn this off and let me angle this I'm going to turn off my overhead light there too. I'm going to plunge myself into darkness for this. It's worth it. Hold on. I have to make a Bluetooth connection to my light switch. It takes a moment. Controller, control pad, there we go. And now I'll adjust this. I will say, this looks better in real life than it's looking here. Let me adjust the focus. This one's a little dim, even in real life. It could be brighter. There we go. Okay. So what you're seeing is that screen there on the bottom, which is horizontally reversed, and this top of the screen is towards me, towards the player. And then you can see as I move this around, you'll be able to see the parallax effect a little bit of the fact that the reflection there is appearing in front of a backdrop. So if I get this out of the way here. Yeah, sorry, this does not do it justice. But the bigger demo that I've set up, I think will help. So here you can add in a coin, hit one player, and you'll see we're playing a Space Invaders, probably the real ROM. This is a licensed Taito game. But if I turn this, you'll see that's where the game actually is, on that bright TFT back there. And there's a 45-degree mirror that's showing that. So pretty cool. Looks really nice. About twice as good in real life, I'd say, versus this video, even though it's still a little on the dim side. So that is... bring back a light here. That is the little... What is this one called? My Arcade Space Invaders Micro Arcade Plus or Pro, something like that. If you want this one, this type, the key is make sure that it doesn't have a little cutout here, a little overhang for the control panel, but it actually has this extra squared off face. That's the one that actually has the mirrored display. They had to make it pretty deep and thick here to fit that gag in there, which is cool. Otherwise, they make one that's very similar looking that you're just going to be looking straight at a TFT, and I think that's nowhere near as cool looking as this effect. So now what I want to do is show you a bigger Pepper's Ghost that I built in the hopes of doing a larger scale, maybe with a big, maybe 14, 17-inch square LCD, or with a CRT, maybe a 10-inch CRT. And let me go to the down shooter and my front cam here so we can take a look at this. Let's do main camera here first. So I'm going to turn the lights back on so you can see a bit of what's happening, and then I'll turn those off to show the effect. Let me fix this camera real quick. And what other light did I turn off? I'm going to point the light right at this rig for a second. See the rig there. What this is, I'm going to stand over here and talk about it for a second. What this is some 80-20 aluminum or T-slot aluminum that I built just as a little frame. And then I have a piece of very thin, I think it's 16th inch or maybe 8th inch acrylic that is half silvered. So it's a sort of two-way mirror. You can look through it, which confusingly is also called a one-way mirror. One-way mirror and two-way mirror kind of both mean a mirror that you can see through, which is kind of wild. I'm not sure why. So that's at about a 45-degree angle to the artwork that I have here. You can see this moon artwork. And then I have an iPad over there that's going to be pointed at the mirror from the other side. So the thing you're making your backdrop and your thing you're projecting are at a 90-degree angle to each other, and then the glass is at a 45. So you see through, and you get this sort of beam splitter effect. And then it's mostly a matter of carefully controlling the lighting. So I'll go ahead and let's turn that light over there. I'm going to head over and I'm going to set main cam in the corner. Let's put it over here a bit. And when I kill the overhead lighting, we'll get rid of that glare, and then it's going to be a little bit of focusing and stuff. Let's come over here. So what I have is an iPad right now that's just pointed at as my monitor. And let's see, close that. I just have a long play of Space Invaders running on here from YouTube. Play, and I'll go to full screen. Okay, so let's. There we go. Okay, so what you're seeing right now is oh, is that camera down? Weird. Yeah. Let's turn it off and on. I think it's probably not the camera, it's probably my capture card. Let me reboot that capture card because you're seeing a dead image. This. Okay. Oh, and I'm real quiet back there. I'm sure that's what someone just bleeped to me about. Thank you. I'll turn on that microphone over there. Thank you. Yeah, that image did freeze. So I'm gonna cycle power on that capture card. Looks to be, let's see, is it this one? Yeah. Huh. Well, that just cleaned it up. I don't know why. Okay, you should be able to see that now, right? Yeah, let me know. Let me know what you're seeing there. Yeah, Thin Man, sorry about that. I had not turned on the mic over on the workbench there, so that'll be a little louder when I'm back over there. Thank you for the note, also Andy Calloway. Okay, so what you're seeing right now is since I've got a lot of overhead lighting, and one of the tricks with a Pepper's Ghost and with like the Space Invaders cabinet is boxing it all off. So right now we're just seeing like a really mirror-like reflection of my iPad. So what I'm going to do is, I've got that mic on now over here, so I'm going to come over here, and let me turn off the overhead lights. So now you'll see a little of my reflection there, but you're mostly just seeing the reflected iPad screen. And then what I'm going to do is add some lighting to the backdrop. So get the light out of the way. So you can see now I have a little light that is illuminating this moonscape. There we go. That's pretty nice. So you can see that's just this thing under here. Drop that down a bit. And in the real game, there's actually some I don't have enough depth right here, but there's a little separation between the moon and the backdrop, and there's some backlighting, and even a little black light to make some of the paint glow in there and stuff. But this is you can see here, if I add light out here, we'll start to pick up more of my reflections, but if we control this light, we can then, sorry, I'm wiggling the camera when I do that. We can get that pretty good. And this is all, right? This is kind of how, when you do theatrical Pepper's Ghost, you're often looking at a reflection of, like, let's say a person, and then you'll get this reveal as you just fade up the lights of the background, which is something like a skeleton or something hanging in the same spot as the person. So that's the typical gag there. And this piece of acrylic is so thin that it's a bit curved, which actually I kind of like. It gives a little bit of a warp, a little bit like that arc of the front of a CRT screen. And I think if you did scan lines that went, this game was in Tate mode. It was a rotated CRT, a 4:3 ratio monitor that was, it would have essentially these horizontal black scan lines, and then it gets rotated, so you would see little vertical scan lines. So if you have some sort of a CRT emulator on a display like this, you'll see that. If you just use a CRT, great, even better. But this reflection, the fact that this is a projection on top of the background that is on this piece of, instead of glass, I've got this very inexpensive but quite nice quality piece of plastic that's so thin that I can warp it, and that gives me just a little hint of that CRT shape, which I prefer to just the flatness of a LCD screen. So let's see. Yeah, I'm going to turn this one other light off here since I don't have a big box around the thing. And turn this one off. And this one. Okay, yeah, all of our light now is just coming from this, so I can just mask that with my hand. There we go. Actually, I have a little barn door for this light. Where'd that go? Wait, I'm going to grab that. These little tiny small rig lights have a little barn door you can snap on. Let's do that. Put this into place. Oh, it doesn't have, I don't have the magnet thing I need for that, do I? Where'd you go? Huh. All right, I'll just hold that. There we go. Oh, too dark. Oh, now you're seeing it. All right, I've got some experimenting to do with that. But there you go. That is the Pepper's Ghost effect. Let me turn a bunch of lights back on. And I'm excited to try to do something with a little build for a smaller screen and maybe 3D printed brackets to hold that in place. And of course, getting the, go back to this camera here, getting the emulator flipped, which I don't know if that's an option in the usual MAME. I think it must be. I've seen a Tate mode switch, but I've not seen them do a horizontal, which, I don't know, it must be in the original ROM. So why are we not seeing it that way? There's got to be an option for doing the horizontal mirror of that image so that it looks proper, reflected back at you, which is how it really works. That said, I think I'm going to try to do a emulation of just that original Space Invaders ROM, which is running on an Intel 8080 chip, on the Fruit Jam. So not a generalized MAME emulator or anything like that, which would be too wacky, too big, it has to do too many things, but just one very bespoke emulator I think could be pretty cool as a standalone project and as a way to make a very convincing little Space Invaders setup. Could even do it with GPIO pins instead of a USB joystick, because all we have is left-right on the joystick, fire button, coin, player 1, player 2. I think that's it. So that might be a nice one to not do a USB gamepad for, but just do it straight up on GPIO pins on the Feather if they're available. There'll be a lot of PIO stuff happening to make this all work, but we'll see. What else? Oh my gosh, my lighting is so dramatic. Let me turn back on the overheads here. There we are. And let me see if there's any questions over in the chats. Sanji Kaneki 6226 over on YouTube said, any plan for new Ion NPI chip showcase videos? Yes, I believe those are in the works. I think there are plans. I don't know what they've announced, but Phil and Lamore are planning to get back to some more regular videos, and I think Ion NPI and products will be part of that. I've half expected all these games to be out of license copyright by now, but no. Yeah, Taito is, as you can see, there's still a company, I think, called Taito who's licensing stuff. So they, I won't probably, make huge announcements that I'm doing this out there in the world, because they probably don't want you emulating their ROM. Let's see. Ooh, Some Nice said, do you remember the crappy game from Sega, Time Traveler? I've heard of this. Was this a cabinet? This used a Pepper's Ghost effect in some video, right? Let me bring up the Discord. Yeah, there you go. That's pretty neat. I think that was a Pepper's Ghost thing, right? I hear people talk about it from time to time, but I'd never seen it. That's gonna do it, I think. So I'll remind you again, if you want to go pick up some stuff, we do have the Fruit Jams in stock. And also the Ada box that it came in, you can get that for a little more, and you'll get the joystick, keyboard, or the gamepad, keyboard, a couple other accessories in there. So those are available, and you'll get them for 10% off with that coupon code today. What's up? I can't say that. What's up? That's my joke. Okay, I think that's gonna do it. So I'll get to work on this Pico launcher bootloader project, writing that up. Thanks, Frank, for all the great work you've been doing on that. Thanks, everyone, for joining me. Thanks for coming into the chats, and I will sign off now. I'll let you know we've got, I believe, Foamy Guy Saturday. I think Scott Friday. If not, Foamy Guy Saturday, and maybe Foamy Guy Tuesday, maybe both. And then we'll be back on Tuesday with another product pick of the week. Wednesday morning, 3D Hangouts, and Wednesday evening, Show and Tell. So stop by, check out our socials and the Discord, and have fun making some stuff. Play some games, do some neat things. All right. Thanks, everyone, for Adafruit Industries. I'm John Park. This has been John Park's Workshop. Bye-bye.